South Africa is not backing down on plans to end Zimbabwean exemption permits. Over 200,000 Zimbabweans may be forced to return home, but there may be legal action to challenge the move. So let's discuss this now with legal expert Lindokuhle Mdabe. Lindokuhle, thank you for your time and good morning to you. I understand that you're coming in now as lawyers for human rights with probably a possibility of taking legal action. Take me through the reasons to this.
Look, we haven't really made a decision around that. There has been discussions in the office about the kind of reasoning that has been given by our government to reach the decision now to end the Zimbabwean permit. And the natural question that any lawyer who represents a community of clients usually ask themselves is whether that decision has some basis in law. And so our conversations at this stage are that there are two critical reasons for why the Zimbabwean exemption permit was adopted in the first place. The first was to alleviate the pressure on the reception centers of the department, and the second was to accommodate Zimbabweans in the country because of the socio-economic and political conditions in Zimbabwe. And we have reason to believe that these two conditions have not been resolved. And we are yet to hear from the South African government as to what now informs the basis for them to end this dispensation, given that these two critical reasons have not been. These two critical issues have not been resolved. They are still the same. And so we're thinking about the legality of the decision and whether it can be challenged or not.
Right. I understand that you also have concerns, not only regarding, the two reasons you gave me, but also that it will have a knock-on effect, a consequence on the children, especially those born and raised in South Africa.
Yes, we do. We have a number of concerns, and I think they go beyond that. There's a multiplicity of I suppose I would call them impact as a result of the decision, and mostly many of them revolve around issues of housing, issues of employment, issues of health, social security, and the right to family life in South Africa. That would have been established by people who are Zimbabwean migrants, and so that has the decision has is going to have, we suspect, some impact around those access to those rights, and we have reason to believe that it is also going to have it is tantamount to a retrogressive step that has been taken by the South African government. Of course, one would be concerned about the dignity of those who have established their family life in the country, and I suppose the low-hanging fruit case theory would be when you have, for instance, one parent who's a South African citizen and another who's a Zimbabwean a citizen.
Right.
I suppose under those circumstances, the child would be a South African by birth. Of course, there are other nuances in law, which probably not discussed in the show because I'll take most of your time. But that would be a scenario where, and I think that would be a low-hanging fruit, I suppose, for anyone who's looking at these cases.
Yeah, Lindo, I'll have to let you go in a few minutes or other seconds. Before I do, though, I want to talk about the grace period with which the minister has spoken about, that there's a 12-month grace period for these ZEP permit holders, to get other permits, as opposed to get, their documentations in order. But you're of the argument, if my understanding is correct, that there isn't any documentation in place that, of course, the Zimbabwean nationals can use, especially at migration, to prove that there is either a grace period. So does this then affect deportation, that any time from now they are exploited and exposed to being deported?
Well, yeah, it really does. But recently there has been a directive that has been issued by the minister, and it's been published in the department's website, and it's been shared widely. We were wondering just last year about the legal status of the decision, but I suppose now with the directive now in place, so I suppose it does give some form of direction about the legal status of this decision. But we would of course want something more than that. I suppose something that would ensure greater protection of Zimbabwean migrants would probably be some documentation or some letter that comes from the department itself, more than just a directive.
Right.
Because it is highly likely that no enforcement authority would accept a directive that has some form of general application that may not talk specifically to your case.
No, we'll leave it there due to time, and I wish I had more to delve into this. But Lindokuhle Mdabe, attorney from the Lawyers for Human Rights, thank you so much for giving us your time this morning.